Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, and welcome to Across the Pitch Legends Series. Yes, that's right. We have Darren Woodhead back with an extra special guest from Accrington Stanley history. My name is Phil Kennedy, and we have a little bit of a change in our Accrington Stanley Legends interviews, as now Tony Robinson will be joining Darren to interview our Legends guests, with me just kind of doing the intro. It just makes more sense because Tony has been following Stanley his whole life as opposed to me for only the last few years. So we've got the talented Tony Robinson and Darren Woodhead, and we have an incredible guest for you today. Stanley Director who is involved with the club from the non-league days, well-known and well-liked all around Lancashire, not so much in Yorkshire, Frank Martindale. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Some build up that, Frank, isn't it? So I've
it is some build up.
We're kicking off this series again. Well, this new series. It's been 3 or 4 months since we've done any of the legends, so we thought we'd go big and get Big Frank on. When we mentioned that we're getting you on as a guest, we've had loads of response from ex-players, supporters, and it's really nice to have you on. So welcome.
Oh, thanks very much, Darren.
And I'm pleased to be part of the Veteran Series and to speak to such a gentleman as he's known around. Frank, to be part of this with Frank is really a nice way to kick off, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you more than what I already do, Frank.
Right.
Thanks very much, Tony.
So first of all, we're going to get on to football, but a lot of people made comments on Facebook from your cricket days. A lot of people know you from cricket in Lancashire, don't they, Frank? So just tell us a bit about your cricket career.
Well, I got married in 27 and I moved from St Helens and lived in Great Harwood, and I joined Enfield Cricket Club, would you believe, recommended to Enfield by the then captain of Rishton, Eric Worley, because he was a wicketkeeper and I was a wicketkeeper, and one of his best mates was Ian Metcalf, and they wanted a wicketkeeper. So I joined Enfield and played with them for 4 or 5 years, where I was fortunate to win the Worsley Cup, and it was the first time they'd ever won it, and I won a Lancashire League medal, and I also won 3 tankards for being the top wicketkeeper of the year for 3 years, with having the most victims. And I was fortunate to be picked for the Lancashire League to play against Lancashire in a couple of pre-season games. You know, they have pre-season pros, 7 pros and 4 amateurs playing at the Lancashire side, just to give them a pre-season practice, you know. And it was good. And then I left Enfield and joined Rishton, because Eric retired as a wicketkeeper, but still stayed on as captain. And we become, by this time, as it worked out, big buddies and big friends and everything, you know. And I played them for Rishton, where I won I think all the time I played, I won 8 tankards, 5 at Rishton and 3 at Enfield. And it was good. And the cricket was good. I was fortunate to play with likes of Madden and Dick Abed for Enfield, Michael Holding, Viv Richards,
all top players, weren't
Wayne
they?
Daniel, Peter Sleep, and all these top internationals, which you'll never get again, because unfortunately the way the cricket is in the country and all over the world, you know, you couldn't afford them, because they're getting more money playing these other silly games, you know, the IPL and all this stuff, you know.
Yeah.
They're making a fortune doing that rather than how they did before, you know. The cricket was good.
Before we get into talking about your friendship with Eric Wally, I did, when you mentioned the cricket and back in the day, one of my trips back to the area, and my family is my dad is from Great Harwood, so I know the area quite well.
Oh yeah. Well, that's where I first lived.
Yeah, And I saw a BBC series about the players that came in from the West Indies, the cricketers that came in. Yeah. And I remember going to see up to Stanley Cricket Club and getting Wes Hall's autograph. And I thought
that's right.
Yeah, that was a special time in cricket, I guess, and would have been for you too, right?
Well, unfortunately, I wasn't here around that time for the West Hall. I was after that. But a lot of the West Indies came to play in the Lancashire League because they then were allowed, they got paid. See, they didn't get paid when they played in the West Indies. You know, The only country that was being paid for playing cricket was England. You know, like the county cricket, and then the lads playing the leagues, you know. But the West Indies, they did a hell of a lot. They did a big thing on ITV from Constantine to Richards, you know, all about the West Indies, and all the West Indies in that time, you know.
Yeah.
And they went through them all and the clubs they played for and everything, you know. And all the rest, you know.
That's the one I saw, and it was really interesting. But that leads into our Eric Whalley, and obviously a name that's synonymous with the club. You must have some terrific memories with Eric.
I have some fantastic memories with Eric. I mean, I'll tell you how it all came about. The Stanley part of it all came about. Eric played with Stanley, and unfortunately, when they went into liquidation in '62, Eric was on the verge of getting a contract to play because he was only 16, 17. And obviously, when that fell through, he carried on playing cricket and football and whatever, you know, at non-league level. Well, not non-league level, just Great Harwood level, you know, like and things like that. And then before that, he'd been a chairman of manager of Great Harwood, then chairman of Great Harwood, and then he decided he wanted to go back and help Stanley. So in 1994, I think he went back to Stanley. He went back as a manager, and then he went back, and then the year after, he went on the board. And in 1995, the club was in dire straits. I mean, I used to drink with Eric all the time because we used to be mates 12 months of the year with the cricket and the football, you see. And so we'd go in the cricket club at Rishton, or the pub that we used to go in, the Merry England in Great Harwood. And when he was taking over at Stanley from John Holt, when he was buying him out, he said, I'm going to be struggling for somebody to look after the sponsors on match day. This was when we were in non-league. This was 1995. He said, will you do it for me? I said, yeah, no problem. He said, I'll look after you, you know. I said, Eric, bugger off. You know, I said, we're mates. You don't need to give me any money. You know that. So that's how it started. And I'm not joking. Not many people really know this. But when Eric Whalley bought John Holty out, they were practically a week from going into liquidation again. And Eric got into it, and he did a hell of a lot of things. You know, I mean, he used his friendship with people nicely, not cheekily or anything. I mean, it was the 100th centenary coming up. Now, Eric was very, very friendly because he played cricket with Bob Core, and I knew Bob well as well. And through Bob Core, we got the Rovers, and obviously Jack Walker. Jack Walker obviously liked Stanley as well. And he gave him the ground, the game and everything. And he said all the players had to play apart from two who were playing for England International. And that was Alan Shearer and somebody else. And even Kenny Dalglish turned up, the manager, because it was a special 100 years centenary for Stanley. And they had to do it Blackburn, and there's 10,000 people there. And that money that we got from that night helped propel Stanley forward. And another guy, we talk about Eric and all this business, but there was another guy about that time, God rest his soul, who really, I'll be honest with you, didn't get the credit. He got it off the fans and that, don't get me wrong, but he didn't get the credit through the press and all that they should have done. There was a guy called John Domain. And John Domain, along with Eric, then really got stuck in, and John was ringing firms up for different things, for sponsorship of this, for sponsorship of that, and all this, doing it and everything. But John Domain was like Eric. If he cut John Domain in half, it was Accrington Stanley through and through. I mean, he'd been a director before Eric and all that as John, but he obviously hadn't got the finance that Eric had, But he was such a hard worker for Accrington Stanley. It's unbelievable the work he did. He used to work 7 days a week for Accrington Stanley, but he'd do 6 days at the ground and Sunday at home. And on the Sunday at home, what he was working on was the weekly draw. And he got all the prizes out and all the prize money and everything ready to take out on Monday to the ground to give to the agents to out and deliver, And then on Friday night, I used to pick him up on a Friday night before any of this, when we were still in non-league. And we didn't have a shop, a sports shop like we have now and all this. And we'd take orders for caps, jumpers, for shirts. And we'd go to a place in Cheetham Hill at Manchester, Friday night, place an order, and then go back the following Friday and pick the order up and take it back for the lads at the ground, Even for sending to America, South Africa, Australia, people were, writing in for things and sending the money in. And we'd go and we'd get them and we'd post them out and send them on. But that was John. He was 100% doing everything.
Yeah, I
and
remember
he was the world's worst supporter.
Good times he didn't like even watching the games, did he?
Well, he watched the games, but he was so heads up, that's he had a very, very heads up. But like Eric, you couldn't. I say to people now, because I think the world of Andy Holt, and I said to somebody, only about last year, at the beginning of last year, we were talking about Andy and all this. I said, he's great. And I said, and I'll tell you something else. If you'd have had Eric Wall and Andy Holt together, he said, because if they got on, Miss Brock said, I said they got on because they both got money and they both knew business. And they still, Andy knows business, Eric knew business. You know what I mean? And they get on like house on fire because they both want the same thing, the good of Accrington Stanley Football Club. And that's why they are both brilliant men.
Yeah, just bringing on, talking about John Domain, it just reminds me and brings me on to the next question, Frank, about everyone had their roles, didn't they, in those days, like you said. And Phil Terry, he used to be around, didn't he? Phil Terry, the programme, etc., and things like that.
Character. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you a story about Phil. And I met Phil quite, obviously watching it, and we used to go sometimes midweek to watch a game. Like watch Great Hall if they had a match in midweek. Eric, John Domain, Phil, and myself.
Yeah.
We'd go and watch him, In fact, it was through Phil and myself that we eventually got the two boys, John Coleman and Jimmy Bell. Because we've been watching them. Phil and I got the Manchester Pink every Saturday. And if you remember, Phil used to do a thing about past players. Where are they now? And, goals they scored and all. And because he asked me, I got it. And I said, you can have it. And I used to give it him every Sunday. Because I'd see him, and give it him, get over to him, give it him. And he'd follow everything up. Because Phil was absolutely outstanding. He got brilliant on quizzes and all this business. And him and Corey, fabulous. He's probably the best secretary we ever had.
Oh, he definitely knew his stuff, didn't he? Yeah.
Oh.
When I was writing my early books, there were no information then. There were no internet. So I was reliant on your likes of Phil's information. I used to keep all the programmes. His encyclopedic knowledge. They're unbelievable.
Yeah, he had. You were right, honestly. Because he wrote a book on Corn Dynamos.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
You know, and he gave it me. He had a copy, a spare copy, and he said, "Here, I'll give you that because you give me loads of stuff and never asked for anything." We had that camaraderie. There was, like I said, Phil, John DeMain, myself, Eric. You know, we were on the coach going away and having a laugh. Especially in the non-league days as well. We had all the lads on the coach. They were all singing, all the fans. Everybody mixed with everybody. There was none like, he's a director and he's a supporter. We were all the same. And we still are, really. You know, or they still are, a lot of them, because there's not many directors now at all.
No, it just reminds me of your role in all this, Frank. So it brought a lot of comments on Facebook about reminding you about your role with the microphone, stadium announcer when you used to announce the goals, and after the man of the match after the game.
That's right, after the game. Well, I'll tell you a true story from Eric. We got in the conference, right, and I did all the games and all this for goal scorer. If we scored a goal, I described it, and especially when we had Mike Marsh, and I used to say, and the ball was passed out to the little genius and all this thing, you know, I did a big, but when they scored, I used to say, and the goal, say, for Coleman was number 8, and give the name. I wouldn't describe it like I describe ours. Anyway, when we went to the conference, somebody said to Eric, why have you stopped Frank doing the goal thing? Oh, we're in the conference now. We can't do that. And one of the first away games we went to, would you believe, was Forest Green Rovers. And the bloke described their goal and everything. And the lads who'd asked Eric were all looking up at him, and he went, no, I shouldn't have done that, you know. And we had a good laugh at it, you know, and everything. But we were trying to do things right. I mean, you know what Eric was like. That's why I get very annoyed with the FA. When we did anything, the FA, they doubled everything up on us. Work-wise, you have to do this, that, and the other. And we worked, you know, everybody got stuck in, you know, 6 days a week or something, trying to get the things ready to get us through to the football, you know what I mean, to the conference and eventually to the Football League. But if there was one slightest thing wrong, they'd jump on us and say, if that's not done by tomorrow night, you're not going in the Football League or whatever. You know what I mean? There were rules. I mean, we went to, in the first year we were in the Football League, we went to Brentford. And we were stood at the bar, Eric and I, just having a coffee we were, and we were with Martin Allen. Remember Martin Allen, the manager of MK Dons originally? And we talked to him, and he'd been a manager at Brentford. And we were all smart, shirt, tie. We had blazers on in them days. And this bloke came in about 10 to 3. And Eric said, Martin Allen says to Eric, do you know who that is, Eric? He said, no. He said, he's a director of Brentford. And he come in, jeans, leather jacket, and no tie on. You know, just a shirt, no tie on. And Eric said, well, he better not let him come Stanley like that, because he said he won't get in our boardroom. And like the boardroom, it was a what's the name? It was mixed, the boardroom and the sponsors' lounge. Well, you weren't supposed to have that, you see. And you know who it was? The fella who became the chairman of the Football League and also the chairman of the BBC.
Lord Evans.
And I thought, yeah, you know what I mean, don't you?
Frank, I mean, this is at the time that when you became a director, and then John and Jimmy came in that time frame. And what, from your point of view, from when they came in, what's your take on what they've done from then to now?
Fantastic. They're the finest pair in the Football League. You can have them all, Ferguson and all them. These lads, John and Jimmy, have done it with nothing. No money, no nothing. What they've done, they've got a football club from its roots with the spectators. They've made it into a brilliant family club. They've been around and studied. They used to go to matches on Sunday mornings to watch for players and everything. And the lads they've brought in, they've not spent money at all. They're not used to going spending money. They pick it off their own football knowledge, and a lot of the lads they've picked have come with them for one reason, because John and Jimmy have been honest with them. They've said to them, look, if you sign for us and another club comes in for you and we think you'll do better with them, we won't stand in your way. We'll let you go, because we want to help progress you as much as anything, because if you progress as a football club, we'll progress. And that's what John and Jimmy have done since they came to us in 1999. They've progressed the club through all those leagues. They've also progressed the fans, to back them and do everything for them. You never hear at Accrington in, 20 odd years? You've never heard them shouting for their head. Yeah, I've been there when they're shouting for some managers' heads, because we had sacked two in one while Eric was in the West Indies, but that's another story. But we've never heard the fans or anybody shouting for Jimmy or John's head, because they're not just manager and assistant manager, the fans of the club as well. The heart and souls in the club as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and when you look at that now, where the club is now, and the part that John and Jimmy have done has been important. But again, your role that you played, you got to have a really nice feeling about where the club is and your part in it, right?
I do, but don't get me wrong. I sit back and I smile. I go on holiday to Jersey every year, a couple of times a year, and have friends over there who watch football and everything, English football, you know what I'm saying? And they say, we see your name, and you didn't tell us you did this. And I said, well, I don't say it. I like it. I've got that glow in my chest. Me and John DeMain used to go and sit down, have a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, and have a good chat. Especially in like when we've painted a room and they've all gone home, and we'll say, right, we'll just have this drink and then we'll go home, this cup of tea and this cup of coffee. And because I used to take John home, I used to pick him up and I'd take him home, because we were really, really big friends. And obviously when he died, I was very, very, very upset, as well as Jimmy Bell was,
Yeah.
And but the things were, you are proud. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I buy, every time a tie comes out at Accrington, I must buy 4 or 5 ties. When Darren's boots come out, I bought 2 or 3, and they're in Jersey, in people's houses, who are football fans in Jersey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've got a shirt signed by all the players in the hotel that we're staying, framed and everything. And when I go, these people say, oh, Frank from Accrington. I'm 10 foot tall then. But it's been a wonderful ride. And it's not finished yet.
Yes.
I'll be happy when they can get on that Wembley turf, and when we're going in the Premiership. I'm going to tell you something, gentlemen, and Darren will back me up now what I'm going to say. The first annual general meeting we had after John and Jimmy came, John DeMain and myself were sat on the top table with Eric and Phil Terry and John and Jimmy, And Eric said to John, do you want to say a few words, John? And John got up and he said, there's probably a lot, about 50 to 80 in the room, And John got up and he said, listen, gentlemen, I want to tell you something now. And you might think I'm daft, but I'm not. Far from it. We were languishing about halfway down the league in their first season. He said, I want to tell you something now, gentlemen. These 2 men here at the end of this table, John and Jimmy, these 2 are going to get us back in the Football League. Not just Premiership or Unibond or Conference. They're going to get us back into the Football League, these 2. Mark my words. And I said, here, me and him agreed, definitely. And afterwards, they all come and say, joking on me with one or two, and said, we'll take you to hospital afterwards to have you tested. I said, oh, yeah, all right, you mark my words. And since that's happened, one or two of them fellas who've come and said, Frank, here's a pint for you. That was when we got promoted in 2006, and John got a pint of Coke. And we just said, well, we knew what we'd seen for 7-8 years. You know what I mean? And we knew what their aim was and what they wanted to do. They were brilliant. John and Jimmy, I mean, the first captain they are. As soon as he come through the door, I said, we're not signing him, are we? And Jay Flannery. And they said, why? I said, well, when he played for Lancaster last year against us, he kicked us off park. He's a roughman. He started laughing. And after that, we became the best of friends, and we still are today.
Yeah.
And what a good captain he was.
He's a great lad. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Oh, he is. And I tell you what, and what a good captain he was on that year when he got us promoted. He said, I've come here too late in life, he said, with these two, John and Jimmy. But I'm happy we've got John and Jimmy. And, of course, now John Doolan, who played for us.
Yeah, I think I think that now would be a good time for us to turn away from football for a moment and go to what's, I think, become our most popular segment of the show. And this is all the credit goes to Tony Robinson for what is now the world famous fire.
Well, it's just a bit of fun, Frank. We just want to talk something.
No problem.
And this is something that we started out basically north versus south, but we're going to throw some stuff at you and see. I think I know some of the answers, but we're going to have some fun with it. Would you prefer mushy or garden peas?
Oh, mushy.
On your bacon sandwich, red or brown sauce?
Brown.
With your full English, black pudding, yes or no?
Yes.
Beatles or Rolling Stones?
Beatles.
Coronation Street or EastEnders?
Oh, it'd have to be Coronation Street.
If you were in the bar at Stanley after a win, would you have Aki Ale or would you have a lager?
Oh, I'd have Aki Ale.
Good man. Good man.
Ale.
And what's your favorite takeaway?
Fish and chips.
Can't go wrong with that. And this is
northern answers, all these.
This may be the toughest question of the lot. But if you were able to have a dinner with two people, living or dead, who would they be?
John Coleman and Jimmy Bell.
I can't go wrong with that. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. And your career and your association with the club, there could be a room full of people that you would probably like to sit down and have dinner with.
Yeah, definitely. There would be, I mean, I haven't mentioned people like Stephen Law, who's been absolutely fantastic, getting us, when he was getting the lads, they all went over to the West Indies. And one of the, you look forward to doing a sponsorship game. And they had the Magnificent Seven, and we used to have some fun. I used to try and have a word with the beer rep from brewery and try and get an extra 2 dozen cans from lager or bitter, to make it a good day for them. Because they'd drink them, and then they'd carry on and buy beer. But it was for them to enjoy and have a good day. And Louis was absolutely always organised. And if anybody became a bit upset with Louis, he used to say, wait, Frank's in charge. Listen to what he says, and it was good. But the lads were brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
He did ask me to mention that, did Louis? Asked Frank about the days in hospitality. He said you gave him that much beer, he can't remember any of those days, so must have been quite memorable.
I used to put a case behind before beginning of the season, and he said, have you started already for me? I said, yes. And we used to have a good. Louis was brilliant, and the lads were brilliant, all with him. All the 6, 7 lads and guests they had, fantastic. They were. And I used to always say, right, when you finish that, I'll go to the bar for you. And Louis said, will you get a tab on? I said, yeah. So we got a tab on them, and they were brilliant. Plum and all the rest of them, absolutely brilliant lads. Which is great because that's what brings the club up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And the teams and the lads used to come in to see these lads. The team that played, and they all used to come in, and they'd come in to see him because they'd have a chat with him and all that. Like Darren Quick, who left us, when he retired and took over at Salford, and people like that, come by. This is what they had. This was their club.
Some of them used to come in for the wages after. I remember Eric used to dish out all his wages with brown envelopes after the game, didn't he? Yeah, I remember Lee McEverley one week. He never got paid. He was waiting for his. He were a handful, wasn't he?
Eric says, you're not getting paid because you were coming to the game today. And Eric was only doing it to wind him up. Because he used to pick on McEverley and one or two others. And people like Luke. Luke didn't drink so much, but Luke was coming after the game with them. To see the lads and have a chat and all this. Because basically, they'd made it a family club, John and Jimmy, and them, and all the rest, to get them all together. Yeah. And everybody used to come in to see him, the kids signing all the autographs and everything. And they loved you.
Yeah. Frank, where do you see the club in 5 years?
Hopefully, I'll be honest with you, in Premiership. Because I can see where we're going.
Love it.
Up.
I love it.
Up. I do. Honestly, I can see it going up and up and up. And with these two, because these two will get us there. I'll tell you that now. Well, I'm glad we've not got that person who was supporting the other club last night as manager, because he's never worked for no money. These lads have worked without hardly any money. Yeah. And for me, that's a sign of a good manager.
When Dan Jewell has to apologize on air for the other manager's language, that it's
last
colorful.
Night, yeah. I was going to. You know what? I was tempted today to ring iFollow and complain about the language from the manager, because you could hear it on the iFollow, because he was supposed to be doing just a sitting down job last night and watching.
Yes.
They've even mentioned it in their programme and in their paper today in Ipswich, because I have a friend who lives down there. And he said, you told me he was a clown, this cook. I said, well, I'd proved it, haven't I?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about a kid.
I mean, he's got a good track record, but if he wanted to be involved in the game last night, he should have been on the bench.
Yeah. He should have been on the other side with the others.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, moving on from him, Frank, just talking about enjoying watching, matches now, and just going, obviously you just got more of a bite, so you can just go and enjoy the games. Tony's asked you what you think will be in 5 years, but what do you think of this current team we've got now?
Oh, this is one of the best we've had.
I agree.
It is really. It is one of the best we've had. They play for one another. They tackle back, and they do everything they're told. You know what I mean? There is one or two players who could get in the side, obviously, there's some lads, one lad I admired and really did like, and thought he got treated very badly, obviously, by the FA, was Peter Kavanagh. Because he hadn't had a bet, he was his brother-in-law, and Peter got treated terrible. And Peter was a fantastic law. I'm still a friend of Peter's, and and he's doing well at Everton. But honestly,
and we've got a good goalkeeper at the moment, haven't we?
Well, I'm saying that last night, going back to the game last night, when he came up, did you see how it said? Paul Cook had stood up and clapped him off. Because obviously they're all wondering what's going to happen with him. He's 22 going on 23. If he doesn't get with Chelsea next year, obviously they'll release him. You know what I mean? Because Chelsea are looking into papers today and I said to Jimmy and John, well, I said to John, I speak to Jimmy every other day, and I said, we want to get him if we can. Start collecting now. I said, I'll give you 50 quid now.
Put me down for 50, Frank.
You know what I mean? The thing is, if we could get this lad signed for us for next year, we want to get him. Because he's loving it at our place. He's the first in the morning, last out after training. Yeah. And he loves the atmosphere and everything.
Well, these two, Phil and Tony, interviewed him last week, and it came across in abundance. He's a very, very driven individual. He's going to the top, isn't he?
Oh, he's very, and that's.
I would just say he's very focused and for a man of his age, he's always been used to playing with more senior players, and he can control that back there in the box. And I don't think I've seen a keeper for a while that's got the command and respect in his box that he does.
Last night he was absolutely magnificent before that fella did him. It's just one of them. He is brilliant. I mean, I have a friend who we meet on holiday who's a Chelsea supporter. And when I told him we got this lad on, he said he didn't know him. Not being funny, but he didn't know him as such. Because he's down there, don't you, at Chelsea now, don't you?
Yes.
Accrington Stanley player.
Anthony Barry, yeah.
Anthony Barry. And last week, Anthony Barry was made assistant manager for the Southern Ireland team. This mate of mine rang me to tell me, because he knows I know Anthony very well, obviously. And they gave him permission to become the assistant manager for Southern Ireland.
Right.
Because I said to Jimmy, Cook will be out, because he said, Cook has not got a cock in hand, and they're getting him back. He said the lad's gone farther up the ladder than any of them, with all what he's done and everything.
Yeah.
And he's got on about. Anthony's been up to watch him a couple of times, and he rates him as well.
Yeah, they've definitely got the contacts of John and Jimmy in football, haven't they? Definitely.
Oh, definitely. No, and that's why you need him. You look after people like that, they look after you. And that's what my philosophy. And I said that to Eric Waller. I said, we used to say to him, don't come in here, you. Don't come in till 10 to 3. Stay in your office till 10 to 3. Then you can't fall out with the referees then, because they've gone. They're not with us. He'd fall out with the referee at 1:30, would Eric?
Yeah.
And then when he'd gone, he'd say, he's only joking, he's like. He said, we've got to know Eric now, we just don't take away a pinch of salt. But he'd fall out with him, so it was shocking. But me, I used to get told off every day. And somebody said, do you not get fed up of it? I said, look at it this way. I know him shouting at me and telling me off. He doesn't mean it. But if he's telling him off or him off, they'll sulk and pack in and go. With me, I don't bother, because I know he doesn't mean it, because he'll come to me at 20 to 5, 4:45, if we've won, and say, come on, Frank, let's go and have a pint. You know what I mean? Because he knows I won't get upset, because I'm too thick.
Well, Frank, I've got to say that just sitting here and hearing your stories about, kind of the formative football league years of Stanley, and we have a saying with Accrington Stanley. There's kind of like an AD and a BC, but BC is before Coleman. So what you're talking about are like the 0 years of the after Coleman and during Coleman era, and that story that you told about that first meeting that these two gentlemen are going to lead us into the football league, and just just gave me chills, and it's been just an honor to have you on the show today, and we can't thank you enough for your time.
Yeah, I think I want to echo what Phil said. it's been a pleasure talking to you, Frank. And when you're,
no problem.
Telling your stories and touching about Great Harwood, where my dad's from, and me living in Accrington.
My wife was born there in Great Harwood, and she taught at St Augustine's at Billington.
All right. Well, my aunt was a teacher at St Wolston's for many a year, and I go back every year, and hopefully I can make it back this year, and hopefully I'll get a chance to say hello to you in the lounge.
Oh yes,
I'll buy you a pint.
I won't have a drink either. Well, no, I won't have a drink. I'll have an orange or a Coke. So come and have a drink with me at the cricket club at Brishton and Great Harwood, and also we'll have a drink at Stanley.
Sounds good, Frank.
And you'll not be paying. Excuse me. You'll not be paying. I'll be paying.
Well,
Darren knows that because I'm not tight, am I, Darren?
No,
Darren,
definitely not.
You ask.
No.
Darren, you ask. I said, tell him. Okay,
yeah, no,
gentlemen.
Definitely not.
And we always like to
thank you
finish up with an on Stanley on. So if you guys are ready, we'll go on 3. 1, 2, 3. On Stanley on.
Stanley on.
No.
And get David Lloyd to just spend some money